Happy birthday, Kelly. Happy birthday, Kelly. Guys, it's Kelly's birthday. And I'm so excited that it's Kelly's birthday. Oh, Kelly, I hope you have a great day. I hope that you enjoy your birthday. Even if it's something small, I hope you enjoy your birthday. Whatever you have to deal with, you can deal with tomorrow. Just try to enjoy your birthday. I have an idea. You can just go rewatch my old videos. So that sounds like a great birthday. Thank you, Martha, so much for the PayPal. I appreciate it. You're the reason I'm streaming today because it was a long weekend, very long weekend, and the thought of 3.5 hours this morning was a little rough, but I'm glad it'll be easy. I'm glad that you sent that, and I'm here. I'll go back and watch the Mankini one. I like the blank, blank, blank one. It's not my favorite, but I like that one. That one was very funny. The towel one was very funny. Oh God, the first mason jar was very funny. No, I hope that you watch. I hope you're entertained by something that makes you laugh all day long. I hope you do not watch any news today and you only watch comedies or something and funny comedies. Not like, I don't know, maybe Richard Pryor on Saturday Night Live doing The Exorcist. Watch that for your birthday. I can send it to you. Kelly sent that to me. I just offered to send her back what she sent to me for a birthday present. And you wonder why I'm single. Honey, here's what I got for you for your birthday. It's a vacuum, almost the same model you got for me for my birthday. Wait, honey, it's your birthday? Why don't you say something? I didn't know. Well, it's already 10 p.m. It's over now. We'll try again next year. All right. We are April 30th on this court case, and I think we're still in the middle of a deposition, I think. But I can't imagine it's going to take much longer because they're almost out of time. The whole case is almost over by April 30th. And we still haven't heard from our wind experts. I'm just praying I got them. I had major space issues while I was getting this trial. And I missed a bunch because of it. It would let me record it perfectly fine. So I was able to sort of watch it during the day while I was doing everything else and recording everything else. I had my ear on it, made sure it was recording. And then when I pressed stop recording, that's when the error popped up. Yeah, they waited until there was nothing I could do about it to tell me. But that's okay. We've gotten the point so far. We've gotten the point. So if we missed a little bit of it, it's not a big deal. We're going to roll with it. All right. I do every day, Kelly. I purge videos every single day because they're huge. Well, I record all day long. So every computer I have starts at 8 a.m. and ends at 8 p.m. because California. So that's 12 hours of videos on all of my computers every day. And then I have to search through all those videos to find some good clips and delete all the rest so that I'm ready for the next day. And the problem is this is a trial. So I was recording every day and not deleting because we didn't show the trial yet. And there was a disciplinary hearing for a Pennsylvania employee that I was also getting while I was getting this. So that's 2 computers that were constantly recording every day and not purging at all. So that's why I ran out of space. But I bought, it's upstairs. I bought 5 terabytes external hard drive. So that'll get me going. It's not the greatest though. It throws errors and it's ticking me off. But anyway, well, we just spoke for 5 minutes. That stinks. I'm not supposed to do that. Let's press play.
Okay, well, that's not my time visit, we just wanna know what you know we're going. If you don't know, that's fine. And did anyone tell you before the morning of this incident that you were gonna be flying the units into the 4th floor?
No, sir.
And you guys just showed up that morning and you find out, hey, we're a bunch of pipe fitters, I guess we're gonna be helping out on the rig this unit, is that fair?
Yes, sir.
And you and I saw that your project manager, Mr. Hamley, he goes to a safety meeting, but you don't go to that safety meeting, right?
That's correct, sir.
I mean, that's the time to discuss all these hazards, and it sounds like.
And that's crazy to me because didn't the first guy we watched say that everybody went to the safety meetings from all the companies? So Burns was there, Wade Mechanical, Wade Engineering, and TNT were all there at all the safety meetings every morning.
Y'all didn't even get an opportunity to participate in that, right?
That's correct, sir.
Well, I mean, you were talking to Billy and Anthony Ramon up there, right?
Yes, sir.
And y'all were complaining about the wind, right?
We did have a discussion about the wind.
I have to ask you, sir, have you even seen TNT's JSA for the day of the incident?
No, sir.
I mean, did you know that they identified one of the hazards associated with this lift operation as wind?
I have not seen the JSA.
Go down to the second page where it talks about setting air handlers on the 4th floor. Did you see that?
Yes, sir, I can see that.
You know what a JSA is, right?
Yes, sir.
What you're supposed to do is get everybody involved in the operation together and talk about the work to be performed, right?
That is correct, sir.
Who's gonna be performing what job, right?
Yes, sir.
The hazards associated with the work.
Donald's right, because it was a completely different crane operator. It was a completely different crane. So the JSAs that they made for the initial lift were useless. That's like it would be the same as me telling you, come on over for dinner, I'll make you pork chops. If you come over for dinner, I'll make you pork chops today. But you can't make it today. So you're like, bet, I'll come over tomorrow. Well, no problem. I work tomorrow. But Tiffany, my daughter, she'll make you spaghetti. Completely different person cooking, completely different meal. So it's a completely different recipe. So yeah, that made that JSA useless. And no, they didn't list wind as a problem, but they did. Let's say I had to do a safety checklist before I made those pork chops. I would put something on there like grease splatter, and set the curtains on fire. Now, what are the chances that I'm going to set my curtains on fire making pork chops? Pretty much zero, because I've done it a million times. I know how to make pork chops and keep my curtains safe. But I write it on there because it's possible. So I have to prepare for it. That doesn't mean I was expecting the grease to hit the curtains. And if the house burnt down because the grease did, it doesn't mean that, I knew I knew my curtains were going to catch on fire beforehand. I should have done something.
Right.
That is correct, sir.
And then the steps to mitigate or eliminate the hazards, right?
Yes, sir.
And what you're saying is you guys were never invited to TNT's JSA, right?
I was not on that JSA meeting.
Nobody laid out for you guys specifically the work to be performed and the hazards associated with the work and the methods to eliminate those hazards, right?
What was the question again?
Nobody invited to this JSA, so you could discuss the hazards identified by the crane operator and the steps to mitigate or eliminate the hazards, right?
No, only about that, Jason.
Because one of the things you know right now is even the crane experts knew that wind was a hazard. Do you see that? And you don't see over here anywhere where these folks actually identified the steps to mitigate or eliminate the hazards, right? Sorry, what do you?
Can you zoom in?
Sure.
Or, no, sir, there's,
I mean, because you would agree with me that if wind was a hazard,
As soon as I found out some of my Vibers had drones, oh yeah, I have curtains, all right.
crane operator and folks in charge of the crane company have to get everybody together with the superintendent and come up with very specific steps to eliminate or mitigate this hazard, right? Right?
that is correct.
And one of the things that you have to do is you have to check the anemometer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you can see that this fella checks off, he did an equipment inspection, you see that?
Yes, sir, I see the check mark.
And if he's gonna identify this as being a hazard and he's gonna conduct an equipment inspection, hang on a second. If the safety device is broken, you gotta stop the lift until you figure out whether or not the wind speeds are dangerous enough to pose a hazard. True?
That is
Standard practice, isn't it?
that is correct.
You used the term earlier that really stuck out to me, Mr. Montalvo. You used the term devastating when you found out about some of this information. Do you recall that?
Yes, I did say that.
Were you devastated to find out that TNT's wind gauge was broken and nobody told you about it?
I mean, I felt sad and had emotions when I found out about the safe machine being broken.
You trusted the folks.
Yeah, I trust her, but
You
I guess it was so accurate. Not sure if it was the wind that through the unit, but that was one of the points.
You trusted the folks in management to let you and your crew up there on the fourth floor know about dangers associated with that operation, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Like I said, I only found out about the number being broken very recently. And again, as a project manager, as assistant project manager, I make sure that all the cranes and everything goes for inspection before sending the lift plan to BGC.
You trusted management to address the wind complaint, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You trusted management to inform you and the other pipe fitters out there when a unit is top heavy, unstable, and had fallen over the fire day. You would trust them to tell you that, right?
Yes, sir.
You would trust that a crane company who sends out a crane operator and a spotter to communicate when it's safe to cable up on unsecured loads, right?
Yes, sir.
Speak up, sir.
Yes, sir.
And to get everybody involved in the lift operation together for a safety meeting and a safety walk around, right? And it conducted JSA that if you're going to identify hazards early in the morning, that steps are taken to mitigate and eliminate those hazards for pipe fitters working on the fourth floor, right?
Right.
You trusted management to do that, didn't you?
That's good.
And they
Can
failed.
I take a break? Can I take a break?
Let me just get an answer to this question. It's like, and they failed, didn't they? We took a break, sir, in the middle of kind of that last line of questioning, and I can tell it was tough for you. I want to finish up with some questions. Can I do that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We were talking about some things that you learned afterwards that you were devastated about, that weren't addressed by management before this happened. You recall that?
That is correct.
You trusted management in this case to address all of the hazards that you and I discussed earlier, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
To make sure that if there are complaints about wind during a pre-pit meeting, that those complaints are addressed, right?
Yes, sir.
Make sure that if you're gonna operate a crane after complaints of wind have been raised, that you make sure the crane has a working anemometer, right?
Yes, sir.
And certainly there's fault to go around the crane company who are supposed to be the crane experts on site, right?
Again, one of the many reasons.
That be, when we're talking about management, that would certainly include the crane experts on site, fair?
Fair.
And I want to know, sir, as I play this in front of Mrs. Lurie and her two boys, I asked Mr. Baldwin if he thinks or he intends to criticize Mr. Lurie in any way for what happened up there on September 22nd, 2021. And he told me he thinks David Lurie did nothing wrong. And I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. Sitting here today under oath, are you going to get up at trial, sir, and say that this dear man who lost his life did anything wrong on the day he died?
I don't think you did.
Because just a minute, these other lawyers are going to have an opportunity to ask you questions. And they may try to blame this dear man who's not here to defend himself under oath. And what I'm hearing from you is a man that fell under the weight of this object right next to Mr. Lurie. You would point finger at this man at all, would you?
No, sir.
When you guys broke for lunch, picks up at the bottom here sometime around 11:45 for.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And you guys, excuse me, after lunch, it sounds like y'all were waiting on the crane, right?
That's correct.
And it indicates once again, you guys mentioned and are discussing the fact that it's windy, right?
I saw the statement there. I don't remember us talking about being windy after.
What I'm hearing from you, sir, it's been almost 3 years since this statement was made.
Yes, it's been almost 3 years since that statement.
And what this is saying is you and I agree it was certainly windy in the morning, true?
That is for sure.
And this has some very specific information about a discussion that was had after lunch as well about it still being too windy and you all thought the job was going to be canceled. Do you see that?
I see there.
Just sitting here today, you're not sure one way or the other if that conversation took place. It's just been too long, fair?
That's fair.
Okay. But finally, the crane guys show up, it looks like close to 1 o'clock. Do you recall that?
It's been 3 years, sir. So, the Norman.
Do you remember these guys being disorganized, the crane guys?
I remember one.
When you say,
Accident, guys.
go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off, so go ahead.
I remember seeing a near miss.
On the ground,
Yes.
there wasn't a spotter.
I'm not sure if it was a spotter or a rigger. He was one of the TNT guys.
They almost hit one of the TNT guys on the ground.
Yes, sir.
When you say they, you mean the crane operator?
Yes, sir. They moved the crane while one of the riggers was trying to get another rigger out.
You know, moving cranes and loads is dangerous work, and that's one of the reasons you gotta keep folks out of the danger zone, don't you?
Yeah.
Sir, please speak up. I had a hard time hearing.
Yes, sir.
And that's why, if you're gonna cable up with pipe fitters right next to a road, you gotta get them out of the way. We talked about that earlier, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're telling me you witnessed another near miss where the crane operator almost hit somebody else on the floor
While
because he,
setting up the
while setting up the crane, was it before or after the load was rigged up?
it was before, they were setting up the crane.
Crane operator almost hit somebody else on the ground, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, I visited, I saw.
I believe that what they just said right there really, 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 really could have possibly put a nail in some kind of coffin.
In a different places. The fact that David Marie at one point was yelling at the crane company, wasn't
He was moving around, talking to different people, so if he yelled at the, it's a possibility, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
he? At any point on the day that this unit fell over and tragically killed this man and injured you, do you recall seeing the wind rocking that unit?
I remember the unit rocking after the incident. Not sure if it was because of the wind or because it was unsafe.
If you're the crane experts on a job, you're not supposed to be the sloppy ones, are you?
No, sir.
And I visited with Mr. Hemley. And in this case, who's your boss, right?
He was that time.
At that time, he was your boss. And one of the things he brought up over and over again, did you know, is he said that TNT was sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. Have you heard that?
No, sir. Like I said before, we never discussed this case.
We were talking about TNT out there and whether or not they were sloppy out there. And one of the complaints I saw that you raised is the fact that the crane operator or the flagger up there did not put himself in a position to see what was going on. Did I read that correctly?
Like I said, I just noticed on the areas
I'm talking about up there on the fourth floor though. Didn't you have that complaint?
about the flagger.
Yeah, not putting himself in a position to notice hazards.
Yes, sir.
He was hiding behind an I-beam instead of putting himself in a position to identify that folks were right up next to this unit. Isn't that a criticism pointed out?
Yes, sir. Believe we should get that closer.
I think the words are, he was behind an I-beam. I feel like he should have moved to put himself in a better position to see both sides of the unit. Do you feel that way?
Yes, sir. I still feel that way.
Okay. Oh, where's this guy up there? His main job was to identify hazards and get everyone clear of load. And he was sloppy, wasn't he?
I don't use that word sloppy, but he wasn't me. I mean, can you rephrase sloppy?
Well, I mean, you wouldn't use that word looking back now? Looking at his conduct, you wouldn't say that that gentleman was sloppy?
I would say he was unaware. He wasn't sharp.
Wasn't sharp. He wasn't taking his job seriously. Is that a better way to put it?
Can you start?
Is that a better way to put it?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
It didn't appear to you as a pipe fitter that was working up there that he was taking his job as a spotter all that seriously. Is that fair?
I'm not sure if he wasn't taken seriously, but he seemed.
Mr. Montalonger. It says right here, any actions that employees of Way Mechanical or Way Engineering took on that fourth floor or at the direction of that individual, right? And the answer was yes. Do you see that?
Are you referring to this flagger?
I'm referring to the TNT guy there. You've seen the testimony from Billy Baldwin here on pages 21, 22, 23, and 2024, or 24. My question to you, sir, is, do you agree with Mr. Baldwin's testimony that nothing got unhooked or unrigged that fourth floor unless they were following the specific instructions of that signal person in the rig?
I don't remember who was here before. I was listening to David Laurie. If David Laurie told me to do something, then I would have done it. I'm not sure if David Laurie was listening to the rigger or not, because I was far away from the rigger and David Laurie was in between us.
Okay. You don't know who was giving the instructions up there on the fourth floor to unrig or unhook this load a specific way and in what sequence to do it. Is that fair?
That is fair.
Now, I had to ask you some difficult questions, and I'm gonna apologize before I do it, Mr. Monsponda. And I'm sorry I have to do this. After the incident happened, did you ever hear Mr. Lurie cry out or make any sounds after the incident?
He was far from where I was. I did hear him scream. I guess he saw the unit starting to tip over and fall. I did hear him scream.
So that was before the unit actually.
Unit falling. After that,
I was asking you if you ever heard Mr. Lurie make any sounds or noises or scream after the unit fell onto him.
do you mean like I don't actually screams or sounds?
Anything, did you hear him say or do anything?
I was looking down, so I did not look at him, I did not saw him. I do remember him screaming as the unit was falling, and that was the last thing I heard for a couple of seconds. I didn't hear or see anything.
Of course. Were you ever told whether or not Mr. Lurie survived the unit even hitting him on the fourth floor?
I heard horrific things when he was down there. I heard that he lost an arm. And that he lost an arm.
Let me ask you about that. I think Mr. Ramon actually went over and put a tourniquet on his arm. Is that correct? Do you know that?
I was on the other side of the unit. I was not able to see him. My back was broken, so I couldn't turn.
Did you actually watch the second lift as it came up?
I don't remember seeing the hole from the ground up. I remember seeing it on the air and getting closer.
Was it rocking or shaking at all because of wind?
It was rocking.
That completes our submission, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, defense, who do you call as your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we would call Steve Hammond, Ways Corporate Representative, and the project supervisor. So there's two cuts, one in his capacity as corporate rep and one is his capacity as the project supervisor.
And the first one is 17 minutes and the next one is.
The first one is 19 minutes and the second one is 25.
No. We saw it. We already saw this. I don't know what happened, but we have already saw this. I'm going to go to 4:30 p.m. Right there, it looks like he might have socks on, but he doesn't.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. You may be seated.
Oh, deputy.
You can
We got-
proceed with your, please. How many minutes?
Tell us your full name, sir.
Stephen James Hammond Jr.
And the individuals that reported to you, one of which would have been Mike Henley, right?
That's correct.
Were you one of the fellas that commenced an investigation into what happened up there?
Yes,
Who was the accident investigator for Wade Mechanical in this case? Was that you?
yes, sir.
It talks about if you're gonna be involved in the rigging process on a Wade Mechanical job, you have to pass a practical rigging skill evaluation. Do you see that?
I do see that, yes.
As the operations manager for SCG Mechanical on this job, were the riggers involved in this lifting operation? Have they undergone that sort of evaluation?
SCG Mechanical is another name for, I think, Way Mechanical, but not Way Engineering. I think.
Evaluation?
So in this specific instance, nobody from Way Mechanical was performing the rigging on this. It was a scope that was subcontracted out to TNT. So prior to the work taking place, Wade would determine and provided evidence that the riggers being provided as part of this had current and active certification cards.
I just want to know whether or not you're aware of whether or not any of their employees undertook a practical rigging skill evaluation set forth from this policy.
I am not aware.
Sitting here today, you're not sure whether or not the riggers involved in this lifting operation were certified or not, right?
That is correct.
I'll show you what I've marked as exhibit number 23. Right here, we see your project manager, Mike Henley. He sends an email and he's attached a rigging plan. You see this?
I do see that, yes.
And it's just less than a week before David Marie was killed, right?
Yes,
And there's a whole series of documents that are attached to this. You see this? See these documents?
I do, yes.
There's some certifications for crane operators at the very end. Do you see this?
I do,
This is what you're talking about in terms of getting a plan and getting certifications over to the general contractor, right?
yes.
And obviously, we can see the crane operators or a crane operator certification here on Way 139, right?
Yes,
And then if you go to Way 143, you see another operator's certification. Do you see that?
I do.
One thing I haven't seen though, Mr. Hammond, is certifications that would show that the riggers assigned to this project are certified riggers. Have you seen any evidence that TNT provided Wade Mechanical with certifications for the riggers?
So that piece of paper, what you just had pulled up, underneath their name, there's a list of designations.
I'm sorry, but didn't he just say at the very beginning that all Way certified riggers had to go through the Way certification and have a Way certificate to be a Way certified rigger? If TNT provided the riggers, they absolutely wouldn't have a Way certification. Maybe they would have a TNT certification, and maybe that's what he's asking, but that's not what it sounded like he was asking. I don't know.
A bunch of letters, designation.
Birthday Girl has a question, so everybody focus. I loved those books. Those books were so good, except for the very end. Those books were so good. Maybe, I don't know. Hi, Maria. I don't know if it was me, Kelly. It could have been, but I don't know.
Cross reference always to see if any of those are rigging certifications.
You do know these fellows never even showed up to the job when Davis man was killed, don't you?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that.
As the accident investigator for Wade Mechanical sitting here today, you have no idea as of today that the operator requirements that were provided by TNT to Wade Mechanical, those weren't even the guys that showed up for the job. You didn't know that?
No, sir.
You didn't know that an entirely different fella, operator by the name of Dan Venable showed up for TNT?
Yes.
I was not aware of where.
Oh, that's so cool.
Other than what we're looking at here, are you aware of any other document on Earth where SCG Mechanical got from TNT rating showing whether or not the riggers on this job were certified or not?
No, sir.
This document is base number TNT 1529. Ever seen this document before?
Yes, I have.
This is a quote that TNT provided to your company before this flip took place. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
And here we see that they sent your company a quote on August 31st, 2021, and they identified that they were going to quote you for not one, not two, but 3 riggers. You see that?
Yes, sir, I do see that.
Did they provide 3 riggers on this job?
To my memory, they provided riggers. As far as the quantity, sir, that part I don't recall.
Would it surprise you to know that TNT never sent out 3 riggers for this project?
Was. I don't know if I'd be surprised by that or not. I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, on this document that's filled out, this is base number TNT 1538. Someone checked off the box that 4 riggers were there. You see that?
I do see that, yes.
Checked off by the crane operator, Ben Kinkle. You see that?
I do, yes.
If I understood your testimony from a minute ago, you have no idea whether or not TNT actually brought out the individuals that they're claiming they had on site on the day this man was killed, right?
That is correct, but you also have to,
Did you look at TNT's JSA?
I can't remember if I reviewed it or not.
You can see TNT's job safety analysis here at the top. Do you see that?
I do.
When you go down under riggers, it identifies only 1 rigger, a fellow by the name of Juan. You see that?
Okay. Yes, I do see that.
Right above it, it says he had another job responsibility as the signal person. Do you see that?
Yes, I see Juan listed there as well.
I mean, if you go down to the next page, this is TNT 150. This is the JSA for setting the air handlers on the 4th floor. You see that?
Yes, sir, I do see that.
And once again, it identifies Juan as the signal person. You see that?
Yes, I do.
By the way, do you know if Juan is a certified rigger or not?
No, sir, I do not know.
Lists the rigger as Mario. You see that?
Yeah, I see the name there. Okay, yeah, it's hard to tell what it says, but yes, I can see that.
What wasn't 3 riggers out at this job site on the day this man was killed for TNT, was there?
Sure, I don't know.
How about the folks involved in the lifting operation? Were they considered to be a specialty rigging group?
Sure. I don't know if there were a specialty rigging crew.
Do you have any idea why a specialty rigging crew was needed the second time TNT showed up?
I can speak to how we got to that point. That's what you're asking me.
Sure, let me ask you about that then. Do you know why a specialty rigging crew went out there the second time?
After the incident, there was gonna be subsequent lifts that still needed to be taking place. And the unit that fell needed to get uprighted and removed from the job site. At that time, I made the determination that, given everything that had happened, that Wade Mechanical would do a complete turnkey subcontract out of anything regarding hoisting, moving forward on the rest of the job, just given the recency of everything that had happened. So we made a conscious decision to subcontract that out. When we told TNT that, hey, we're gonna turnkey it out 100% from here moving forward, they said that they would be interested in performing that scope for us. And I'll say took it from there. So all subsequent lists after that were a complete turnkey offering from TNT.
Yeah, the second time and the third time TNT went out to this job site to participate in the lifting operation, they performed the entire lift from A to Z, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
That's what we're getting to. After you investigated this incident, you made the decision, hey, our folks ought not be participating in this operation the second and third time, right?
Yes, that is correct.
This document starts Bankslave Burns 701. This is for the October lift. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, I see it, right.
Unlike the first time in September of 2021, the second time in October, there's a very detailed step-by-step rigging plan that's put in place, right?
But I agree that I'm looking at one dated 10/7, yes.
A step-by-step rigging plan, right?
Yes.
There was no step-by-step rigging plan that was set forth for the September 22nd, 2021 lift, was there?
I don't recall if a document like this exists for the September. Yeah,
Exhibit 23. We looked at this earlier, didn't we?
we did, yes.
This is the rigging plan that your project manager sent to Burn Construction. You see that?
I do.
And unlike Exhibit 24 that sets forth a step-by-step rigging plan, there was no such step-by-step rigging plan provided in September. Was there?
Yes, I guess I agree that the October lifting plan is different than September one.
Didn't ask you if it was different. The October one was a step-by-step rigging plan. There was no such step-by-step rigging plan for the September operation, right?
Yes, that's correct.
bet you guys did the exact same thing in January of 2022 when TNT came back out there, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Again, in January of 2022, there was a step-by-step rigging plan that was put in place by your company, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Also makes it very clear that TNT Crane and Rigging will be performing all work associated with this operation, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, have you ever received any training on determining whether or not a lifting plan is adequate or inadequate?
No, sir.
How about your project managers? Do they have any sort of specialized knowledge, training, or experience for determining whether or not a lifting plan provided by a subcontractor is adequate or inadequate?
No, sir.
Do you even know, sitting here today, looking at exhibit number 23, whether or not this is an adequate or inadequate lifting plan?
Sir, I don't know.
Would it surprise you to know that these operators never showed up to the job site the day this man was killed?
No, sir, it wouldn't surprise me.
Would it surprise you to know that the crane that they promised to bring, they didn't even bring that crane. They showed up with a completely different crane.
It would not surprise me.
Did you know that the crane operator, in this case, Ben Kinkle, testified that he never saw this lifting plan marked as exhibit 23?
You're asking if that would surprise me?
Did you know that he testified to that?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you know that he testified that the math and the weights set out in this lifting plan are totally inaccurate?
I didn't know. I was unaware.
Did you know that he drafted a completely separate lifting plan with different personnel, different equipment, and different math calculations?
I did not know that.
I asked you, and you and I can agree that the second and third lifting plans included the step-by-step rigging plans. The September lifting plan did not.
I agree. Yes, I agree with that.
This case, I've marked these as exhibit number 27. Let me share my screen with you real quick again.
Yes, sir.
After our meeting, Wayne Mechanical from TNT spoke specifics about rigging and which unit should be picked and in what order and how. You see that?
I do see that, yes.
And again, we're seeing numerous documents that are confirming that there's a meeting that took place between TNT, Wayne Mechanical, and Burn Construction, right?
Yes,
And we know for sure that Mike Henley participated in that meeting because it says so right here, and that was one of his job responsibilities, right?
agreed.
The process I'll ask you a slightly different question. If there was ever a time to make sure that the lifting plan that was going to be performed in just a little while was adequate and sufficient, this would be the time to address any of those issues, right?
No,
That should happen before that meeting, right?
that is correct.
And certainly, once this pre-lift operation meeting takes place, if there are any concerns about the sufficiency of the lift, that would be an additional time to address those concerns, right?
Yes, sir.
If you've got folks that are showing up to perform the lift and they're not on the lifting plan, in fact, they're completely different operators, this would be the time to point that issue out, right?
That is correct.
if they show up with a completely different crane and not the one that's identified in the lifting plan, this would be the time to point that out, right?
Yes,
If your company had been quoted for 3 riggers and this crane company doesn't show up with the right amount of riggers, this would be the time to point that out, right?
yes,
If some crane operator is gonna perform a lifting operation totally different than what's specified in the rigging plan that was approved by the general contractor, this is the time to point that out, right?
yes, yes.
And after conducting an investigation and identifying some action items to learn from this, make sure it doesn't happen again, you reached the determination that the proper way to do this lift and to complete it was to have a crane expert like TNT do it from A to Z, right?
So that's not a yes or no question for me. For this specific instance, it's a yes. But
And we know that you knew that because you looked in and investigated this incident. And numerous folks that were working for your company were complaining about the wind, right?
yes, I read on the statements about the wind.
We've already looked at the fact that TNT identified that as a hazard before the job started, right?
Correct. The wind is listed.
Your safety director and project manager also wrote a statement, made it clear that the wind caused that unit to tip over, right?
Yeah. Yes, I'm reading your statement, yes, I mentioned wind.
And also you review statements like this one. Where Mr. Baldwin is complaining that it got knocked over by the wind. You see that?
Yes, I do see that in Mr. Baldwin's statement.
Go down to 118, we have another statement here. Makes it pretty clear, the unit fell over due to the wind, do you see that?
Thank you. I do see that in the statement, yes.
I mean, they not only say it was windy, they thought the job was gonna be canceled. Did you come to learn that?
I came to read that in a statement.
There's discussions here about how, fellas that were working for your company up on that 4th floor kept saying it was too windy for this pit. You reviewed that statement, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Did you find out that the anemometer on TNT Crane's rig was broken?
No, sir, I was not aware.
I mean, the guys are reporting and complaining it's too windy for this pit. It should be called off. That would be the time to do it, right?
If it was windy at that time of the meeting, yes.
I mean, if folks were identifying that as a hazard under JSA, that would certainly be the time to do it, right?
Yes, yes,
At least at a bare minimum, what you should figure out is, well, let's figure out what the wind speed actually is, right?
yes,
And if you found out as the operations manager that gentlemen were complaining that wind was an issue and nobody could check the wind speeds because the wind gauge was broken, what would you do as the operations manager if you had been participating in that pre-lift operation meeting?
I would have called a timeout, right?
But if you were there during the pre-planning meeting and you had learned that this was a hazard that was identified during the JSA process before this even took place, and you knew fellows thought it was too windy for the pit and that it should be called off, and that the wind gauge was broken, and there was no way to determine the wind speeds, you would have stopped the operation, right?
Yes,
Those 3 hazards that we just identified. The wind, the qualifications of individuals participating in the lift. Then ultimately, the location of pipe fitters right next to a lifting operation. Those are hazards that
have to be discussed during this pre-lift operation meeting, right?
Yes, I agree.
They should have been discussed, right?
Yes, it should have been, yes.
They should have been discussed by the entities that participated in that process, which was TNT, Wade Mechanical, and Burn Construction, right?
Yes.
Do you have any evidence that they were, sir?
Without reviewing the precast plan, I can't answer yes or no. I don't remember specifically if they were discussed.
Was this unit top heavy and unstable, sir?
It was, no, it was not top heavy, it was side heavy.
It was unstable?
I can't speak to if it was unstable. I just know that the center of gravity and the weight wasn't centralized and wasn't distributed.
Did you come to learn, sir, during your investigation that this unit was unstable?
Define unstable, please.
Sure, let's do it together. Exhibit number 14. Did you know that unit had fallen over the day before?
I was not aware. I did not learn that until after the incident.
Okay, just so we're really clear here, you know for sure that TNT relayed to Mike Hamlin that the unit had fallen over the prior day, right?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay, you're not sure whether or not TNT said, oh, by the way, this unit fell over because it's top heavy and unstable.
That is correct. I don't remember, those actual specifics, because I wasn't there firsthand, and when I had a conversation with Mike a long time ago.
I pulled up what I marked as exhibit 14. Have you seen these statements that were prepared by TNT?
I don't remember if I ever.
That's- At the very top, it talks about a near miss incident from the day before. Okay. And one of the things that it points out is that the unit was extremely top heavy and rolled in the jokers, causing it to tip over on the ground. You see that?
I do see that, yes.
Your recollection is, hey, TNT told us the unit was tipped over the prior day, but you don't know whether or not they relayed to your fellas that the unit was actually extremely top heavy. Right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I would be I can't be the person to tell you if that part of the conversation took place or not.
Well, and again, if we go to this statement, this is TNT 54. This is a statement from Mario Ramirez, same day the incident, the rigging supervisor. Do you see that?
Yes, sir, I do.
He points out that the unit fell over due to being top heavy, unsecured, and unstable. You see that?
I do see that, yes.
Did you come to learn while you were investigating this incident that this unit was top heavy, unsecured, and unstable?
And that's why he's hesitating, because he keeps adding the word unstable onto the end of it. If he would ask, do you know that this unit was side heavy? He would have said yes right away. There would be an immediate answer. But he keeps saying top heavy and unstable. And that's not what he testified to. He told you, yeah, it was side heavy. But that doesn't mean it was unstable. Well, obviously something was unstable because it fell. But the way the lawyers, all of them, are questioning the construction workers, they're not using the same language. So they can't get their questions answered the right way because neither of them will change their language. Neither of them will change their language to meet the other one because it doesn't make sense to them.
I learned that it was side heavy. And partially secure.
Would it be the signal person's responsibility to tell the crane operator when and when not to cable up?
Yes,
That's the entire purpose of having the signal person up there in 4-4 for the radio, isn't it?
yes,
As somebody that's been involved in the construction business for 28 years, who was the operations manager for SCG McCain, and who investigated this incident for your company, would it be totally unsafe, in your opinion, to tell a crane operator over the radio to cable up on a massive HVAC load when it's unsecured, it's top heavy, and it's unsafe?
yes,
Guess what? That would be
Yes.
unsafe.
yes, it would be unsafe.
Do you know David Marie?
Yes, it did.
What kind of worker was he?
It was, he was good, he was competent in his job, he was experienced.
Is he the kind of worker you can count on?
Yes,
Was he a safe worker?
yes, it was a safe worker.
I have to insist on an answer, sir. It's my only time to visit with you. Are you aware of any facts that you're going to identify for the jury that would blame this man for causing his own death?
No, oh,
That completes our submission.
Thank you. At this time, who does the defense wish to call?
I don't know who we're gonna call next. I would like to discuss an evidentiary issue that may be approaching the bench.
Outside of the presence of the jury, or do you need them? Okay, I'll ask that the jury is excused at this time.
I hope we can hear it. We've heard all the other ones. So
So Judge, in this deposition that was just played of Steve Hammond, there was a document, TNT Exhibit 53, that was referred to and shown to the jury. It's Burns preparatory notes that Mr. Hammond was cross-examined about by Mr. Bergen. With no objection to that document being shown to the jury. That document has already been shown to the jury through Mike Quinlan's deposition that was played on April 23rd, also with no objection. That was one of Plan's designations in that deposition as well. Mr. Hemling talks about the burn preparatory meeting, he talks about TNT Exhibit 53 as part of plaintiff's designations. The court has previously ruled that if either party doesn't make any objections to the documents being shown, that they've waived any objections or we've waived any objections. So at this time, we move to admit TNT 53, which is the burn preparatory notes that were discussed in this past deposition. And also one of
Of it
previous.
for me, please. The actual exhibit. Yeah.
Actual exhibit, or they probably don't have the copies. Yes.
You have a response?
Yes, Judge, there's no business record affidavit. The document is hearsay that does not meet any exception. It's not hearsay. And while it's true that some of the clips did display limited portions of this exhibit, in the era of Zoom depositions, it's basically impossible not to do that. And plaintiff made every effort it could to limit what the jury saw in relation to Exhibit 53, but I mean, in short of blacking the screen and muting the audio, it's just not possible to always eliminate references to it. So we had previously objected to this exhibit. The court ruled that certain segments of their clips had to be cut because this wasn't properly admitted. And the portions that were played in the clips that we just heard were not properly sponsored or otherwise proved up this exhibit. They were referenced, but no witness has ever actually proved up this document to meet any exception or to show that it's in fact not hearsay.
So Judge, this is the entire document. There is nothing else to it. Secondly, they waived any objections, including hearsay. And thirdly, this is the second time that this document has been shown to the jury. And fourth, that is not true what Mr. Fig is saying. Within their own designations, they included this clip, especially, and I confirmed it just now, Mike Hemling's deposition clips for plaintiff include this very document. It's not limited. In fact, it was highlighted in this past play. It's their designation. So they can't, we didn't object to it, and we didn't object to it the first time or this last time that it was played. It was their own designation. It wasn't even ours. So they've waived their objections now to anything evidentiary regarding this. They didn't limit it. We didn't have any discussions about limitations either. This is it. It is one page.
Again,
And they showed the whole thing multiple times.
there are rules that we must follow in order to admit exhibits into the record. In this witness, there was no predicate laid. The right questions were not asked. You can't just admit an exhibit because it was displayed on the screen. That is not what the rules of evidence say. If they want to put a witness in the box and prove this up and lay the proper foundation, I'm confident that the court will admit the exhibit. But until that happens, it's improper.
I disagree, Judge. First of all, the court made it clear in regards to whether or not either party has an opportunity to object. Secondly, both of these gentlemen talked about their knowledge about this particular exhibit in both depositions. They talked about their familiarity with it, what it says, its contents, all of that. So they did talk about it at length.
It's a burned document, Judge. We just heard from the Wake corporate representative. So the fact that it's referenced is one thing, but again, you have to have the appropriate witness, appropriate sponsoring witness to lay the right predicate for this court to exercise its gatekeeping function properly in order to admit into the record, and that hasn't happened yet.
Well, and Judge, they both talked about it and they didn't object to it. They didn't object to the fact that these people that were talking about this document shouldn't be talking about this document. So Mr. Pig is speaking out of both sides of his mouth when he talks about that. They introduced it. They chose who was going to talk about it. They didn't object. There were their questions that talked about the contents of these documents. So they've waived that objection as well, Your Honor. That's not an argument here.
Anything else?
No, Judge.
At this time, I'm not going to admit the, as far as the improper foundation, a foundation hasn't been laid for this document to be admitted. As it relates to, the deposition, that is in evidence, and if the jury wants to see portions of it played back, they may, but I'm not gonna admit this document into evidence at this time. So the request, is overruled. Anything else?
I think that's fine.
All right. Who do we
That's easily fixed. I mean, they can easily call someone up. No problem.
call? Who are we calling next?
We're calling, by deposition Israel Perez, but now we're gonna need a few minutes to cut out.
Well, we've agreed on some objections. And there are 2 objections that we have not agreed to, Judge.
All right.
Yes, Judge, my only objections were related to the issue the court just addressed. The others we conferred, and there was one agreement, and then I withdrew 2 of the objections.
So you don't have anything?
Correct, Judge.
Okay.
So can we go over them for the sake of the record so we can make sure, because I don't know about that last one.
Sure.
Page 201. So yes, Judge. One of Mr. Quick's objections was page 195, line 7 through 196.
Are you telling me the ones you agreed to or the ones that you
No,
believe
these
are
are
outstanding?
the ones that we disagreed on, if the court wants to rule on.
I don't, if he's withdrawn them and you agree on them. He said he doesn't have any pending. So you can say the ones he has and then I'll ask his response if he is still objecting. So go ahead.
Are you drawing all the objections?
I'll just go through it, Judge, so we have a.
Tell me what your, tell me what your
For
position is.
objection, the first objection that starts at page 76, I'm withdrawing that.
Okay,
For the objection that begins on page 137, lines 11 through 15. Council and I agreed that they would add certain line designations after line 15 based on optional completeness. Thereby curing my objection.
and Mr. Orlando, if he mistakes,
No,
I'm saying as he's going through those, please stop that.
Are you asking me what KAJ means? Because I have no idea. None.
Objection, if he does. So go ahead, Mr. Pig.
The objection beginning at page 147, that is withdrawn.
Okay,
And the objection beginning at page 195, we just addressed with the court's ruling concerning defendants exhibit 53, which is not in evidence, so that clip needs to be removed.
okay.
And finally, for the objection beginning, page 201, same issue, and that clip needs to be removed as well.
so Judge, I'd like to go back to the page 195, line 7 through 196. Line 9. Because some of that testimony is where he's being asked directly about that exhibit, and some of it is his opinion and understanding. And so if the court could please read that, and then I'll continue.
Line 7 on 95, going to what line on 96 to 9?
To 9.
Okay.
Even though I'm aware the court's ruling, this deposition is distinguishable from the other 2, mainly because Mr. Perez is a Byrne employee. And he's talking about his own document. So if the court is going to sustain Mr. Pig's objection based on improper foundation, I urge the court to review this portion of the deposition and ask the court to reconsider that ruling, because this is proper foundation.
Michael, I have the utmost trust in you. Is there a Kelly one? There is. I clicked the wrong button. I'm sorry. That was my bad. Wait. Relax, please. Here we go.
Oh, hey Kelly, how you doing? Al here. Listen, I know you're super busy. You got a lot going on. I really hate to bother you, but well, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, and I'm afraid it just can't wait any longer. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kelly. Happy birthday to you. Hey, it's your birthday. Gotta be your birthday. You know what I was told? Today, you're 36 years old. Oh, yeah. Hey! Yeah! Woo!
His shirt was lighting up at the end. Micah, great find. That was great. Thank you. Yep, Kelly is 36 because no one's going to argue with Weird Al. He's right.
And that is Mr. Perez is an employee of Byrne. He's being asked about a Byrne document here. Then he's being asked about his familiarity with it, the contents of it, whether or not he agrees to it.
He's
So-
saying the entire time, I don't remember.
Well,
don't-
what he's saying is he honestly doesn't remember who at Byrne put it together, but then he does have an opinion about the contents of the document. So it's a little bit different.
So
Go ahead.
this judge, as the court knows, evidence 101, if you're going to admit a document to the record, the sponsoring witness needs to have knowledge of that document. And if the court looks at page 194, lines 24, going through 195, Mr. Perez makes it abundantly clear that he has no recollection of this document and he is not the one who drafted it and he doesn't know who drafted it. So there are certain questions that one must ask in order to appropriately prove up a document, as we discussed before. And Mr. Perez, again, is not the right person.
But see, what he's asking here, and that's a misstatement. He's asking if he knows who put the document together. That's one question, that's one answer. But then he's also asked about portions of the document, which he's testifying about his knowledge of the contents of the document. So maybe he doesn't remember if he wrote it. Maybe he doesn't remember if another employee of Byrne wrote it. But a member of Byrne did write this document. So it's not that he doesn't remember what's in the document. He just can't remember who wrote the document. And that also includes, he can't remember if he wrote the document.
And so then that goes, my question to you is then how do we know that someone from Byrne wrote the document?
Well, he's acknowledging that it's a Byrne document, and it is a Byrne
Where does he
document.
acknowledge that
It's a preparatory meeting from Byrne. I'm trying to share this again. If you go back to page 194.
question? I see that.
Yeah.
And he says,
So
you said, recall you actually were the one who drafted this. He says, correct. I don't know. Then he says, I was at the meeting, but I don't know who would have put this together, honestly. And he
Yes.
says, I don't remember. And then you show him the document and he reads from it and you ask him if he agrees with what's in the document.
right.
Yeah, but again, my question to you is, how do I know this document is prepared by Byrne? It is from Byrne or someone at.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's one of the JSAs. But I could be wrong.
Byrne because he does not acknowledge that at all.
Well, Judge, he does, and I mean, it's.
Show me the line.
Well, and
When
previous
I
testimony from
see
before, they were
people-
talking about this burn preparatory meeting.
Okay, show me, because right here he doesn't. So if you show it to me, then I can make a
Okay,
better decision. But right here, what's written in these designations, he doesn't. And he's very clear that he doesn't know.
so we're just above on page 194,
Mhm.
line 24, it says, I'm going to share this again. So if I could find earlier in this deposition transcript to show the court that this man does know it's a burn document.
All right, I'll give you 5 minutes to show me where you're referencing, because I don't see it on these 2 pages.
Okay, and is the court's position pending this ruling that we can't do what plaintiff's counsel did and show it to the jury? I mean, it's one thing to show it to the jury and then it's another.
You're showing it to the jury in the deposition?
Just like
Yeah,
this last
I
deposition.
will allow that.
Okay.
If it's in the deposition on the lines that I'm allowing you to
Yes.
play, yes.
Okay.
If
just a
you
minute.
show me.
Let me see where else it's at. Where's the exhibit number in the demo?
Discord is fun, guys. You should get in more often. You won't regret it if you guys start talking more.
Mr. Joey, you are working on the cuts that we already talked about, that there is no discrepancy on. Perfect, thank you.
Do you know that it's in the 27 in the demo? This is Perez. Judge, if the court can give me a minute to find it.
Okay, yeah, you can have
Thank you.
5 minutes, go ahead. And if you need some more
I
time.
need more than 5, just, it's a long demo.
Take a 10-minute recess, it's 4:22, we'll come back at 4:32.
Okay, thank you.
Step away and use the bathroom, and then we'll go on recess.
Which is, he may.
I think the jury's coming in because they're standing, right? Where'd the asshole go? Isn't he important? Don't we need him?
Exhibit 27 is mentioned. Includes the preparatory meeting.
I thought we were referencing exhibit 53.
Sorry, yes. In his deposition, it's a different number,
Okay, and what page, 130?
130.
And so in the deposition, it's exhibit number 27, it's the same as exhibit
Correct.
53.
Yes.
You you
It's
agree with that? It's the same exhibit, okay.
So. Starting with line A, which I believe this portion of what I'm reading is agreed to, it's an agreed designation by both of us.
So how is
I
it the
think
same
you're right,
document?
Mimi.
You say, let's go to the second page, there's 2 pages to exhibit 27, but 1 to exhibit 53.
So. Exhibit 27 in this depot has multiple pages to it.
And this is just the first page of
One
exhibit.
of it's not really page 1, it's like page 3 or 4.
Okay,
It's the preparatory meeting,
Okay.
okay? So when they're talking about the preparatory meeting throughout this deposition, they're talking about this preparatory meeting, which is TNT Exhibit 53 that I'm asking the court to allow as an exhibit. And I believe before we took a break, the court asked me we were talking about whether or not this gentleman, who's a Byrne employee, can prove up this document.
Correct.
And my argument to the court was he knows that this is a Byrne document because he's talking about it in the deposition earlier. And the court said, okay, show me that. So that's, I've
You're showing me.
on a break and I'm showing you that he knows that this is a Byrne document. So this goes back to what we were talking about in the later
Kelly, I said, where's
which
the
is,
actual?
he may not necessarily know
Hi, Jake.
the office, but he is familiar with the contents of the preparatory meeting. He's familiar with the fact that this is a Byrne document. He has an opinion, if the court will indulge on page 195, he has an opinion about whether or not he agrees or disagrees with the content of this Byrne document. So it's our position that the foundation has been properly laid for this document to be admitted into evidence at this time.
Brief response, Judge. The court asked before break, to cite to testimony that indicates that this is the proper witness that in fact laid the foundation to properly admit this exhibit into evidence. And counsel's failed to demonstrate that. And none of the lines she just showed you, does he indicate personal knowledge that this is in fact a Byrne document. And furthermore, if we go to page 142.
So let me stop. I just want to confirm, it's not coming into evidence. That's not what my question is about. It's referencing if they are going to be able to one.
And again, thank you for the PayPal, MJD.
Play this portion of one because you asked to have it removed
MDJ.
based on my
I always
ruling
get
that
them
the
backwards.
exhibits not into being into evidence. And so counsel wants to still play this portion of the deposition. And counsel wants to still let this document be talked about as it was in your deposition. So I've already ruled, that's not what we're talking, that's not what I'm talking about.
The court is going to, I believe the court has already ruled that you will let us play this portion of the deposition. You will just won't let us admit the document into evidence.
I haven't ruled on that. I will let you play it. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Yes, you did.
It's not coming into. I have ruled on.
That the actual document isn't coming in, and you have not ruled on whether or not we can play this? Okay.
Because he has an objection to it and he says it should be removed based off of my ruling that this exhibit is not coming in. And I don't agree with that yet.
Okay.
No, you
And
did.
so this is what I'm-
said if it was the deposition that she could play it. You did just say that, Judge. I was there.
Trying to get you to say. Or you guys to explain to me. So 145 counsel.
142.
Counselor, this is easily fixed. Seriously, easily fixed. You just need a Byrne representative to get on the stand for 2 seconds.
146. Yes.
Starting at line 9.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perez on this page, and I'll point you to another site on 143, makes it very clear that he has no idea what this document is. Mr. Bergen asked him, whose notes are these if you know? This is Byrne 203. I don't know that. Are these your notes? No. And then if we go to page 143, lines 7 through 14, Mr. Bergen asked, could these be Richard Harris's notes, who's another Byrne employee? I don't know that answer. It talks about, and by the way, are you familiar generally with this format? No, sir. That part is key because what we now understand is that Israel Perez, who is the general superintendent of this project, is not even familiar with the general format of the document that's being presented to him, which means he has no idea what it is. He's just reading it because he's being shown it. But the truth is he has no knowledge whatsoever what that document is, whose it is, who prepared it, or where the contents came from. So I stand by my objection.
Okay, Judge, this is getting way too complicated and it shouldn't be. First of all, the excerpts that Mr. Pig is reading from are his own designations in this deposition, which means by definition, this exhibit is already going to be shown on the screen because Mr. Bergen is talking about it in their own designations. So it's already going to be on the screen.
Not if the court rules that we can't play it, which
You
is
didn't even bring it up until I did.
All right, counsels, you can stop. So exhibit 23, I mean, Jesus, 53 for purposes of court today. And here it's exhibit 53. In the deposition, it's a different number. It's not coming into evidence. Both of you guys are gonna show it. I'm gonna allow both of you guys to show it. I'm gonna allow this excerpt on the page that you're discussing, and we'll go from there. In the event that you don't want to show it in yours, then we'll remove it from everything. If you're gonna play it, we're gonna allow them the same courtesy to play it. But it's not coming into evidence at this time. All right? Okay.
Wait.
Yes.
I wanted, so we're, that stands as is, no edits to that clip.
That will remain.
Okay, I want to talk about 201, Mr. Pig's last objection.
And what did you say about 201, Mr. Pig? You withdrew it or no?
Let me just reread it very quickly. Given the court's ruling that that objection doesn't make sense, so we will withdraw it.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Joey, we good on the cuts? So make sure to confirm what the cuts are.
I need a
Okay.
less than
And
10.
then tell me how many minutes it is. We may be recessing for today, but if we are, I want to make sure everything's ready to go for tomorrow. And we're gonna roll the beautiful bean footage tomorrow when we start at 9.
Well, Judge, it's 4:42. If I need 10 minutes, it's 4:52.
I know, I want to hear, though. I want to know. Okay. Yeah, we have a little traffic leaving the Astros game, so we can hang out a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kim, in relation to these deposition cuts, I know you'll be starting tomorrow with this deposition. Any live witnesses that you do plan to call will be here tomorrow, correct? They're notified and they're aware. Any live witnesses that you may have tomorrow are there? No, I don't, it doesn't matter to me if they're prepared or not. I just care if they're here to be called. Okay. All right, that's what I want to make sure. Yes. Okay, thank you. Mr. Kim, you guys are presenting your witness list to them as well the day before.
Yes, ma'am.
At 6. On the ones that you submitted today, who else did you submit that we didn't call? Or that we didn't play? That's coming up, right?
She said Rivera.
I thought we played Manny Rivera and Mario Ramirez. We haven't?
They played them in the plaintiff's case, but they're coming
Okay,
live.
you're gonna play some, okay.
Sorry,
But
John.
those were the ones that you submitted today. I'm just
Let me
asking.
know when-
Manuel Rivera and Mario Ferrer. Additions. Okay, thank you.
Message has been relayed, waiting for
You can
the.
just show me all the waste paper on that page.
When you're ready with your.
All right, I don't know if they're leaving for the day or not, so I'm gonna fast forward it and see what's going on. Okay, now we're bumping ahead to May 5th.
Were you on when the A&M officers taxed that?
So we did not get the next day. And then there was a weekend. So we're bumping ahead to May 5th.
No, sir.
In 2021,
louder.
were you a corporate officer of TNT?
I was not.
Are you a corporate officer of TNT today?
No.
In 2021, did you have the authority to hire, fire, and direct TNT employees?
I did not.
Today, you have the authority to hire, fire, and direct TNT employees.
I don't.
Are you in charge of an entire department or division at TNT?
No.
In 2021, were you in charge of the entire division or department of TNT?
That's also no.
Okay, so let's take us back briefly where we were. You were aware that the unit, the AHU unit, it took over on the night before, correct?
Yes.
And what did you do once you learned that information?
I spoke to Mike Hembling and kind of relayed the information on what had happened that day.
And what did you tell Mr. Hembley? And when did you talk to Mr. Hembley?
Objection hearsay, I'm sorry.
The first, as to the first question, sustained, but I believe you just changed the question, so you can proceed with that one.
Yes. When did you talk to Mr. Hembley?
I spoke to Mr. Hemling the afternoon of the 21st as well as the morning of the 22nd.
And what did you say to Mr. Hembley?
Same objection.
Just,
You can respond.
it's just comments. It's not hearsay.
Your Honor, this is an out of court statement, offer for the truth of the matter asserted. He's not a party opponent. He can't just get in here and say everything that he said out of court. That's hearsay by definition.
Sustained.
Did you inform Mr. Hembley of the incident back and forth?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay and ask and answer.
Sustained as asked and answered.
Did you send pictures to Mr. Hembley?
I did.
What type of pictures did you send to Mr. Hembley the night before?
Sent pictures of the unit that had fallen over, as well as some pictures of the damage to the unit.
Was there any question in your mind that the night before, September 22nd of 2021, Mr. Hembley knew about the incident at the TNT yard?
No.
Who is, and Mr. Hembley works for?
Mr. Hemling works for Way Mechanical.
Okay. As you, I think you told us that you procured the contract on behalf of TNT with Wade with respect to this job. Is that right?
That's correct.
And once the quote was accepted, who was your primary point of contact?
Once the quote was accepted, my primary contact was Mike Hemling.
And who decided to choose the spreader bar option?
Ultimately, it was Mike Hemling.
And who decided to take control of the fourth floor by putting in the skates and the chain falls?
That would have been David Loray.
And who actually chose the pick order?
The pick order was chosen by Mike Hemling.
Who ordered the tools necessary on the fourth floor?
That would have been David Loray.
Who would have been responsible for the qualifications of the Way Mechanical employees on the fourth floor?
Way Mechanical would have been responsible for the qualifications of their guys.
Have you sat here as the corporate representative through the entirety of the trial? Have you heard testimony with respect to what Mr. Loray knew before the actual lifting of the air handler unit on September 22nd, 2021?
Yes.
Tell me who you've heard from and how that impacts your testimony today.
So I heard from Mario Ramirez that he had informed Mr. Hemling, as well as Mr. Hemling himself by a deposition that we had informed him.
Did you do crane inspections prior to September 22nd, 2021 with respect to this particular unit, the 140.2?
Yes.
Was the 140.2 of larger capacity than the 120?
Yes.
Okay. If we could pull up TNT 6, which has already been admitted into evidence, and Your Honor, may I push the screen?
Yes.
What is this?
So this is the first page of an annual crane recertification. This particular page is for the block hook, which is the large hook that hangs off the crane itself.
Okay. Is Pathfinder Equipment Locators, Inc. associated with TNT?
No.
And what was Pathfinder Equipment Locators, Inc. purpose with respect to doing this certificate of unit test and or examination of crane?
So they perform the annual inspection on the crane, as well as provide this document for the annual certification.
I do wish you would leave psychology matters to the professionals.
And this, we're talking here about the 140-02.
That's correct.
Is this the same crane that was actually out there on site on September 22nd of 2021?
Yes.
And if we can move down, what does it talk about with respect to load rating of 200,000 pounds? What does that mean?
That's the load rating for the large hook block. The big hook on the crane.
Okay. And, you know, we were talking about lift plans last week.
and we went through the lift plan. Tell us what the lift plan is intended to measure when you have multiple lifts planned for the same day.
So the lift plan is intended to measure the furthest heaviest unit, which is going to be the unit that basically shows the most utilization of crane lifts for that day. And in this case, on this project, it was 65% of crane capacity.
And what was the highest and furthest lift anticipated on September 22nd of 2021?
It was 4,000 pounds at a 100-foot radius
Where?
on the rooftop.
And that's what you did?
Yes.
Well,
that's what-
That's what TNT did?
Yes.
Okay. And if we look back at this certification, the date of this is July 8th of 2021, correct?
That's correct.
And what did what do you call them? The inspector say?
It passed.
Okay, it said the above device was inspected by the undersigned who said the unit met the requirements as stated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was some 2 months and 2 weeks before September 22nd of 2021, correct?
Correct.
If we can turn to TNT 10, which is already in evidence, and blow up the top portion here. So this is the daily shift crane inspection, correct?
That's correct.
And what is the purpose of the daily shift crane inspection?
It's the pre-use inspection for the crane before the.
Side note, I was just thinking, okay. I wonder how much you get paid an hour to be an asshole. Now, I understand this case, he's not charging her a dime. She's not paying him for this. However, if by chance she wins, he will get like 5%, 10% of whatever she wins. So that doesn't count. I wonder if you're a criminal, if they're like, I don't know if he does criminal cases. Let's pretend he does. How much he charges an hour. So we saw that Georgia case. Oh, the crazy divorce. We saw the crazy divorce case. And she charges $400 an hour. Now, I don't recall her being, one of the top lawyers in all of Georgia. He is one of the top lawyers in all of Texas. And Texas is freaking big. So I wonder how much this man makes an hour. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's 50. You think he's going to get, if she wins, I was thinking 5 or 10%, but half, that's criminal. That's criminal. And and Texas is smaller than where you live, CJ. Australia is bigger than Texas, where you live in Australia, your state. But we've seen your top attorneys, and she's freaking phenomenal. She's outstanding. I've recorded a couple more of hers since then, but really they're so boring. She's great. She is an expert at her job, and I would love to play them just because she's so good. I think we might enjoy them, but I'm not stupid, and I know we won't. I know you guys will get bored. I watched them all. I thought they were great. I got another one the other day. I was about to play you a clip. I'll play you a clip at the end, maybe. It's just really boring, so I can't play it.
Operator takes it out for the day.
Okay, and we've gone through this with a number of witnesses in this case, but this would be filled out by who?
This would be filled out by the crane operator.
And if we can go down to the bottom, please. A little more. There we go. What is this handwriting right here? Applicable comments, write the corresponding number from the section above in the first box and comment.
So the operator stated the crane had an oil leak and it looks like it needs service.
Would that be enough to take the crane out of service on September 22nd of 2021?
No, unless it was a major oil leak, no.
Okay. At least it indicated that Mr. Kinkle had checked.
Yes.
Okay, and then, and this has all the other items.
But I think his like TikToks and YouTube shorts and advertising, he keeps saying his firm made billions for their clients. So I wonder if that counts his cut. I don't know. You know how lawyers are. Hey Kelly. Happy birthday.
And said he checked, right?
That's correct.
Now, one of the things that plaintiffs have talked about is this anemometer that's not listed on the crane inspection.
That's right.
Should it be?
I don't think so.
Why?
So the anemometer is considered optional equipment. It's an operator aid.
Guys. Is anybody else as stressed out as I am right now? Look where he's standing. I'm so scared for him. He is not allowed to pass the computer. He annoyed everybody over here so badly. The judge said he's not allowed to pass this computer. And there he is. Tony's an asshole, Bill. I know you got a bro crush on him, and I get it because he's very, very, very good at his job. But he can't even sit up straight to question a witness, which is worse, I think, than him not having socks on, for the whole trial. Me questioning a witness like this. And did you see the air conditioner? Where were you? Were you in the front or were you in the back? That's not how a lawyer is supposed to question people. I can't watch this guy. The judge is going to get him.
What does that mean in English?
So it's not considered safety equipment on a crane. It's considered exactly what it sounds like. It's considered an operator aid.
Are there, and we know that it wasn't working because of Bluetooth, right?
That's right.
Are there other options for a crane operator to utilize if the anemometer is not working?
Yes.
We saw pictures of a windsock or flag at the top of the crane.
That's correct.
Would that be something that would aid an operator in determining whether wind was an issue?
Absolutely.
But if we can turn to the exhibit number 93, which is already in evidence, which is the TNT Field Safety Guide. You've reviewed this, have you not?
Yes.
And this is important with respect to your opinions as it relates to the anemometer and the equipment.
Absolutely.
You're on main approach.
Yes, sir.
If we can turn, Joey, to page, I think it's page 280. Right. And here we have the effects of wind loading, right? This top here, right?
That's right.
And you heard that the plaintiffs have repeatedly said over and over again at 30 miles an hour, it required the crane to be shut down, right?
Your Honor, leading and misstates the evidence.
Abstain.
What have you heard the plaintiffs represent with respect to the miles per hour of wind and when to shut the crane down?
30 miles per hour.
Is that true?
It can be.
It can be, right? Let's look at the effects of wind loading. If we can highlight that, Joey. High winds affect crane operations on a large scale should never be underestimated. What is your belief with respect to that statement?
Exactly what it says. You shouldn't underestimate the high winds. I mean, definitely don't take them for granted.
These recommended wind speeds will vary from one manufacturer to another, right?
Yes.
So you have to does that mean to you that you have to look at the manufacturer of the particular crane?
Absolutely.
It is necessary for a crane operator to read either the crane operating manual or load chart notes to determine the safe operating speed requirements. What does that mean?
So in either the operator's manual or the load chart for the crane, and the load chart is the book that has all the capacities for every crane configuration for that specific model. It tells you exactly what the shutdown wind speed is for that configuration. There's many cranes where it's not one wind speed for the every configuration there is. Some, it depends on boom length, it depends on radius, it depends on a lot of factors, but it tells you in the manual, the load chart or the manual, exactly what that speed is.
In most cases, it is advised that wind speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour is possible cause for stopping operation, right?
That's what it says.
It says possible, does it not?
Yes.
What does that indicate to you with respect to any representation that 30 miles per hour requires a mandatory shall shutdown of the crane?
That would not be correct.
So what would one consult with if one wanted to dig further into the effects of wind loading with this particular crane?
This particular crane, this one would be in the load chart.
And you'd look at the operator's manual
Yes.
for this crane?
Yes.
Did you do so?
I did not.
You didn't look at 94, the owner's manual for cranes?
I've seen the manual, but not day of. I
Okay.
did not consult that.
Right. If we can put 94 up there, Joey, and this is already in evidence. This is the operator's manual, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this, if we can turn to Bates page 500. And remember the testimony that the plaintiffs put forward with the operator's manual?
Yes.
Joe, if you can blow up down here where it says crane monitoring systems. No, from here down, please. Yeah, there you go. All right. It's available for monitoring boom length, boom angle, load weight, and two block conditions, right?
That's correct.
And one of them they talk about is this wind speed operator, right?
Indicator. Yes.
Okay. And an anemometer, Joey, if we can highlight from here. Yep. An anemometer mounted on the boom head transmits wind speed data to the display unit in the operator's cab, right?
Yes.
Now, we know that the anemometer, well, what was the condition of the anemometer on September 22nd of 2021?
The Bluetooth would not connect.
Is that fatal to the operation of the crane?
No.
Is it fatal to the determination of whether wind was a factor?
No.
In fact, it says refer to wind speed restrictions in the crane rating manual for more information, right?
That's what it says.
Joey, if you can go to the next page, 501. Operator panel, if we can blow up this top part. There you go. And this is operating in wind or lightning, right?
Yes.
Okay. And here it says monitor the wind.
I don't understand that part. Hold on. They said that the boom head is one of the factors to consider when it's windy. So would it be that like this boom head is so large? Other ones we see it's more like a stick with a hook at the end of it. This one is so large. So a crane like this with one that's so large, you would stop it for 30-mile-per-hour winds, while the other one, the thinner one, you wouldn't? Or is it the complete opposite? And also, they said that I know I'm not going to pronounce this right. The anemometer is on here. It's on the boom head somewhere. I'm guessing up top somewhere, though I could be way wrong. I don't know what unit they use at Texas A&M. So this probably isn't, I probably didn't just luck out and get picture of the unit that they were using. So I don't know if it was this thick or not. I don't know. It was probably much thinner. But yeah, we need a crane expert because I have so many questions and nobody's answering them during this trial.
Wind speed, using a wind speed indicator, right?
That's right.
That would be the anemometer.
Anemometer, yes.
Oh, yeah. Was the anemometer available on September 22nd in 2021?
It was available, but the Bluetooth would not connect.
And then it says, it does not say and, but what does that say?
It says or.
What does that mean to you?
It means you can use either option.
And it says use the wind scale chart below, right?
That's correct.
And did you look at the wind scale chart below?
Yes.
Joey, if we can drop down to the wind scale chart. If we can, yeah. The entirety of it. All right. Okay. And we see here, what does World Meteorological Organization mean?
I'm guessing it's some type of organization. I'm really not sure.
You heard Dr. Miller and Mr. Lavin and Mr. Decker talk about the Beaufort scale.
Yes.
And you understand in this first column, it talks about wind speed, correct?
That's correct.
And you heard that what did Dr. Miller say his maximum speed was?
I believe he said it was 32 or 36 miles per hour.
Okay, that would still fall within this category right here, Joey, if we can highlight this. Right?
Yes.
And what does it say with respect to inland wind effect?
Whole trees moving, resistance felt, walking against wind.
I mean, did you see not just large tree branches, but did you see in any of the pictures, whole trees moving?
I did not.
Did you see anyone talking about resistance while they were walking against the wind in this case?
No, I didn't hear anything like that.
Let's drop down one to 24 to 30. You saw pictures in this case, correct?
Yes.
Did you see large tree branches moving?
I did not.
Did you see them? Well, you didn't see any umbrellas because it wasn't raining. Let's drop down to 18 to 23.
Were there any trees around for them to look at?
Did you see small trees and the leaf begin to sway?
I don't think so.
Let's drop down to 12 miles to 17. Moderate breeze. Did you see dust, leaves, loose paper, small branches move?
No, because I didn't really see anything blowing around. It looked like in the pictures on the fourth floor.
Let's look at, if you can pull up plaintiff's 23, please, which is in evidence. I'm sorry, defendant's 23. I'm sorry, Joey. Yeah, and blow that up a little bit.
If you see a tumbleweed, you
This
must
is
stop the
taken
project.
when,
This would have been September 22nd, 2021.
and see this,
Yes,
would you expect that to be knocked over if there were heavy winds?
I would think so.
Or a wind gust sufficient to knock over 5,150 pounds?
I would think so.
Let's look at 24. Same thing. Let's look at 25. Would you expect this? If there were winds sufficient to knock over 5,193 pounds, would you expect the paper and the bottle and everything to be in that condition?
No, I wouldn't think so. That bottle that's standing up looks like it's pretty empty.
Let's look at 26. Joey, if you can blow up right back here. See the smokestacks?
Yes.
Does it indicate, does it seem like that it's being blown by winds sufficient to knock over 5,193 pounds?
No, it looks like that smoke's going straight up.
Okay. If we can go to 27. Let's go to 28.
I don't know about you guys, but I find smoke a very, very good indicator of how hard the wind is blowing.
Another bottle here.
That's right.
So if we, Joey, if we can pull it back up a little bit, yeah. What are these?
Those are the skates.
And how are these, do these wheels look like they're out of whack?
It looks like they're facing each other. They're,
Yeah.
Yeah.
29. Same, again, I think that's the same bottle though, isn't it?
I think so.
42. See the paper?
Yes, sir.
Not blowing at all, is it?
No, it's just laying there.
72. We got our famous bottle, right?
Yes, sir.
73. Same bottle, right?
Correct.
Do you see anything moving around that, which would indicate, right?
Doesn't look like it.
Go back to 72. I mean, does it look like
Good year.
concerned about the
Let's go back to
wind?
72, guys.
No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like, I mean, even their clothing looks like it's laying pretty flat.
I
So
mean, does it look like they're having trouble walking against the wind or the wind is affecting them?
no, it does not.
This man is close to the edge and not even tied off, correct?
That's correct.
Would you expect to see that if there was a wind heavy enough to knock over 5,193 pounds?
I would be wearing a harness for sure.
76. Can you answer my question?
No, I would not expect to see that.
Same thing. Can you blow this up, Joey? Paper or plastic right here,
Yes.
does that indicate a wind sufficient to knock over 5,193 pounds?
To me, it does not.
Do you see any of the clothing or anything being blown or rippling in wind strong enough to knock over 5,193 pounds?
I don't.
172. Do you see the crane and the spreader bar here?
Yes, sir.
Does it seem to be moving and whipping around?
Doesn't appear so.
Does it appear to be rocking with the wind?
I would say no.
Okay. Now, the plaintiffs have played a number of statements with respect to the wind in this case.
Yes.
Have you had a chance to listen to the testimony as they came to this court?
I have.
And have you had a chance to hear whether Mr. Garcia thought the wind was a factor?
I did.
What was his conclusion?
Juan Garcia didn't believe wind was a factor.
How about when he came to the courtroom and gave sworn testimony, Mr. Hembling, what was his testimony with respect to the wind?
By deposition,
Well, they played it, so that's testimony to this court.
Mike Hembling did not believe wind was a concern either.
How about Mr. Hammond?
Mr. Hammond had said the same thing.
How about Mr. Ramon?
Ramon had also said he didn't think wind was an issue.
And those were all way employees, correct?
Yes.
How about Mr. Israel Perez?
He'd recalled it was not windy.
How about Mr. Richard Harris?
The same, he had also recalled that it wasn't windy that day either.
Do you recall Mr. Harris did something on the day of the accident?
So Mr. Harris had taken a screenshot of a weather app that he had on his phone.
And what did that screenshot show?
It showed, I believe the wind was 12 miles an hour.
Okay. How about, Mr. Ramirez?
I don't know about you guys, but I think Kim is doing an outstanding job here right now. Good job.
Mr. Ramirez said that wind was not a concern that day.
How about, Mr. Levin?
I don't recall what Mr. Levin said, but he believed wind was not an issue as well, I think.
Okay. Have you heard any of the plaintiffs, caught witnesses on wind, do all the calculations necessary in order to determine what the wind speed and wind force necessary to overturn a 5,193 pound air handler unit is?
I have not.
Even if imbalanced?
Even if imbalanced, no.
Now, do you remember when plaintiffs brought Mr. English? He was one of their trade experts.
Yes.
Okay, and he was critical of TNT giving two choices, the spreader bar and the cantilever bar, right?
That's correct.
Is the cantilever bar safer than the spreader bar in these particular circumstances on September 22nd of 2021?
No.
Why not?
So the cantilever bar is just a more convenient option. That's really all there is to it. They're both safe options. They can both safely be done.
What do you mean by they're both safe options?
So both particular options are regularly done safe. Both have hazards, but realistically, if done properly, both jobs would have been safe options.
Did you find that the use of the spreader bar in this instance, when it came to the de-rigging of the air handler unit on the fourth floor, was done properly?
With the spreader bar,
Yes, sir.
for the up to the fourth floor was done properly. For the unrigging, it was not done properly.
And who was responsible for that unrigging?
So the unrigging belonged to Way Mechanical.
Did Wade ever come back and say to you, hey, we don't know what to pick, we're not qualified, when they're trying to decide between the spreader bar and the cantilever?
No, they did not say that.
Joey, if you can put up exhibit 4, which is in evidence, and blow up this top email. In fact, Mr. Hembling told you, right?
Yes.
What did he say?
Said we are not going to go with the cantilever bar. We will put up some chain falls and skate the units into place.
And when he said we, he was referring to whom?
Way Mechanical.
We'll put up some chain falls and skate the units into place.
I know what happened. He went where he's not allowed to go. I know what happened. Somewhere in this court, this side said something about wind socks. He got nervous about socks burying his case. So he said nobody on the team is allowed to wear socks, just in case wind comes and their whole case is destroyed.
What does that indicate to you as to who had control over the fourth floor?
I'm just saying, if I was the defense, wouldn't I want wind to be the problem? Like it was a gust of wind. It was unforeseeable. No one knew it was going to happen. So it was just an accident. The wind blew it over. It was an accident.
De-rigging the air handler unit on September 22nd of 2021.
That would indicate to me that Way Mechanical was taking that control.
Fair to say that when you recall, we went through the entirety of this email chain?
Yes.
And did Way Mechanical go back and forth between choosing a cantilever or a spreader bar?
They did.
And who made the ultimate decision with respect to use a spreader bar?
The ultimate decision was made by Mike Hembling with Way Mechanical.
And who made the ultimate decision when to unhook the chain falls as the air handler unit made the basis of this lawsuit on September 22nd, 2021?
So
Maybe or maybe not. If it is truly an act of God, like if the train got hit by lightning and fell over, they would not be responsible. Wind, I mean, if they had taken precautions to handle a normal wind for Texas that day, then and some abnormal wind gust came out of nowhere and then I mean they could maybe get the jury to say, yeah, that was just an accident, guys.
So that ultimate decision was David Lurie,
With,
Way Mechanical.
and who made the decision to use come along to help guide the unit in?
That would have been also David Lurie with Way Mechanical.
And who made the decision to use the skates to guide the unit in?
That was also David Lurie with Way Mechanical.
And who made the decision to use timber wood or landscaping wood in a lace form on top of those skates in order to help guide the unit in?
That again was David Lurie with Way Mechanical.
And who made the decision to pull on the come along at an angle, crooked angle is what we've heard, to bring that unit in?
So again, David Lurie with Way Mechanical.
And who made the decision to what do you call it? Hoist up or cable up after the unit was in?
That decision was also David Lurie with Way Mechanical.
And how did he make that determination?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how did Mr. Lurie make that determination to cable up?
He'd given the command, I guess. They needed to fix one of the skates on the backside of the unit.
At that point in time, the unit was on all four skates.
Yes.
And when you say he gave the command, to whom did he give that command?
He gave the command to Juan Garcia.
Did Juan Garcia, he was with him?
He was with TNT Crane.
As between Way Mechanical and Mr. Garcia, who had the most personnel on the fourth floor that day?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. What did you say?
As between Way Mechanical or Bay Engineering and TNT, who had the most personnel on the fourth floor on September 22nd of 2021?
That was Way Mechanical.
And once again, who is in charge of the fourth floor?
The work being done on the fourth floor was being done under Way Mechanical.
And were you told that Way Mechanical would have be in charge of the debriefing and the fourth floor, someone other than Mr. Lurie?
Yes.
Who?
Mike Hembling.
That's the witness, Your Honor.
Thanks, counsel. Do you wish to recross this with?
I better do so, right?
All right, counsel, proceed.
Okay. I want to make sure that I understand what you just said. Did you tell us all here that Mike Kimberling said the wind was not a factor? That's what you just said in response to Mr. Kim, didn't you?
I believe that's what he said in his
Did
deposition.
you pay attention to his deposition?
When I was here in this room, yes, sir.
Weren't you here the whole time since day one?
Yes.
Okay. Carlos? I mean, you wouldn't come here and try to rewrite history, would you?
I would not.
You wouldn't want to come here and misstate what these witnesses said and try to pretend that they said something they didn't say, would you?
No,
You wouldn't do that as a representative, a corporate representative of TNT. You wouldn't do that, would you?
I would not.
Okay, Mr. Hemmerling was asked point blank about the wind, page 125, line 18. Because you just told this jury that Mike Hemmerling said the wind did not play a factor. Can you put that up there, Carlos? Page 125, line 18. I'm gonna read this and you tell me if I read it wrong, since you were telling us all what Mr. Hemmerly said. Line 18, please, to 23. Because it's really fresh in our mind what you just told us, so now we can see what he actually said. If we had to point to 2 reasons why this incident happened, one of the hazards that was not appropriately addressed, that should have been addressed, is the wind issue. Yes. Did I read that right? Yes. Okay, and let's go over to page 145, line 24. This is Mr. Hemmerly's deposition. You agree with me that this entire lifting operation should have been called off. Please go to the next page. Wait, 145, I'm sorry, 145, line 24. Question, they were sloppy in the way they handled this wind issue that was present. Go to the next line. In the morning, they picked up after lunch. And then all the lawyers started objecting, and then he answered, yes. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
His position was-
What's your objection?
Sidebar.
Thank you.
The lawyer both objected.
Okay. We have to stop now. I was sucked in again and I lost track of time. I'm so sorry. But we went over. I can't help it. I'm sucked into this trial. I can't stop myself. So I didn't set up OJ yet because I was watching a court video. So give me a few minutes to set up OJ and I will see you all soon. Yeah, I know. He does love himself. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Street of tales waiting to the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With each stream, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor, dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh